everybody, how are you? It's Charity with Scrapfaire Knits. I was supposed to record last Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. I can't remember what date I said, but I had a surprise birthday trip out of town. Sorry if you hear birds in the background. Friday, May 27th was my birthday. I'm 41. And my dear husband took me to Chincoteague and Assateague to see wild ponies. So, Chincoteague is an island that's in Virginia. I live in Virginia. I had to drive through Maryland to get there, which I thought was weird, but just because of where we live, that's the best way to go. So we went to Chincoteague and we stayed on that island, and then you drive over to Assateague, which part of Assateague is in Maryland and part of it's in Virginia, and there's wild ponies at both ends, and there's a beach, and it was really, really lovely, and we had a fabulous time, and we basically walked a half marathon, and I really enjoyed it. And I did get some yarny goodness because there is a yarn shop on Chincoteague. Who knew? So I will share that with you shortly, but first I have a hoe. I have a half-finished object. I was hoping they would be totally finished today, but this is a test knit I did for Dana Gervais Designs. These are her Rainbow Dash socks. She hasn't actually released them yet. As of today, June the 1st, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she's releasing them late, later than originally planned, and this has some issues. It's not actually going to be this short. I'm going to rip some of it out. I had a fit issue. I've had a couple of fit issues with this sock. The first thing is my gauge has loosened up quite a bit. I was knitting these. I started by casting on 16 stitches for the toe. They're toe-up socks. And I increased up to 64. And by the time I got about right here, I realized that was going to be way too loose. I don't mind it being looser on my toes. I like my toes to have some wiggle room. So I started doing a couple of things. The first thing I did, for some reason, I did a few rows where I made some ribbing on the bottom, and I said, wait, ribbing's going to make it even looser. So then I started decreasing, and I decreased down to 56 stitches for the rest. So this fits my foot great, except I have this bad habit of thinking that my foot is longer than it is, even when I'm sliding it on to try on. And the sock has been traveling with me, and I don't recommend this particular sock if you're knitting it 2 at a time as a traveling project, because yarn management almost got the better of me, and there's a couple of places where I was out and about knitting that I made a couple of mistakes, but I just said I'm not going back because I'm not at home. I'm just going to keep going. It looks okay. Like, I'm not terribly unhappy with it. The sock is also not blocked. It's just on a blocker so you can see it. I don't hate it. There's a huge hole. I did a terrible job on the heel. Not the pattern's fault. Totally my fault. As I took this traveling, I finally memorized the pattern, you know, somewhere after a couple of repeats. I thought maybe I should have had it memorized after the first time, but I'm not going to beat myself up for that because, you know, some of us remember things better than the other. So anyway, I'm happily knitting along. It's really easy. This is my first cabling, so it's sort of a little sketchy, but I think it looks better up here as I got more into it, and I really like it, and it finally started to get quick for me because I could knit like the entire back row in the time that it took me to knit these few stitches the first several repeats, and I got really frustrated at that. But then when I got to the heel, I couldn't find the pages. I no longer just had them tucked in my, I don't even have it here, the project bag that I had this in. So I couldn't remember which heel she used, so I just looked up, I Googled a short row heel, which I was planning on the heel taking up twice as much space basically as it did. So I guess really if I ripped out the heel, I might be able to just continue on and not have to reknit all this, because I feel like I could just, because it's a contrasting heel, I could just rip it out. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not that experienced, so I'm not going to try that with these socks because I really like them. There's a big hole in this side, which is my fault, and I cannot figure out how I did that, but whatever. Anyway, so my plan is to rip out my other sock. I was knitting them 2 at a time, toe up, which I was really happy about. I had to kind of rewrite part of it was a test knit, so before I even started, people had figured out that the socks were mislabeled, and then I didn't understand that the directions were only for the amount of stitches where the pattern was. So I wrote out for myself how to do the second, the second sock, mirroring the first one, so that I would have it completely written out so I could follow it. And then I sent that to the designer, and she was like, "Oh, well, in fact, the pattern is just, if you read it way more carefully than I did, it says that, but I misread it." But anyway, her pattern's super easy to follow because look, I can do it, so that means you can do it. Anyway, so I'm gonna rip back to just below the heel, which is where my second sock is, because when I started the heel, I took the second sock off of my needles and I put it on. The other one is sitting on DPNs right now. I did the heel of this one on DPNs. So I'm going to rip back so they'll be at the same place, and then I'm going to knit up a little bit more, and I'm going to add back in those stitches that I took out. So to right here, it'll be 56, and then I'm going to do probably, this much in 60 stitches, and then I'll do the heel. So really I need about this much more room, then a heel, and I'll do the heel from the pattern when I redo the heel, and then the cuff will be much longer. I didn't know how much yarn I was gonna have. Let me tell you, this is all Lolo Did It yarn. In my last podcast, I showed you some minis that I had ordered. She has a U-Pick 8, and I believe they're 20 grams each, the mini skeins, and I wasn't sure like how much of a toe and how much of a heel. So I just split my mini skeins in half so that I could work my socks 2 at a time. And I really didn't think I was going to have enough to do the toe, the heel, and the cuff. But I've got plenty. I've got plenty after doing this that I can take this out. I can probably not even reuse this to do my second heel and get a much nicer cuff. So they'll be longer. But anyway, the test knit was due. Originally, it was due yesterday. There are several ladies who are finished, and they're in all different colors, and that's really exciting. Like Dana, the designer, Dana Gervais, I'm pretty sure I said this was her design, Dana Gervais Designs. Anyway, she did hers, and she has the actual color names listed. I don't remember. I think it might all be Knit Pick Straw, but I'm not sure. She has all the colors listed, and her socks are like bright red and the turquoisey blue, and the primary colors that you would think of when you think of Rainbow Dash. So I believe I have these listed as Dash Sophisticate, a little more grown-up-y color palette. This is Lolo Did It and Ice Ice Baby, and I don't remember. She has a couple of sock bases, and I don't remember which one this is now, but it's on my Ravelry page. And you can find that there at my Ravelry page, because this one is listed, which it is. The minis I think only come in one. I don't remember picking the weight. It's all sock weight that the minis are. This is Hello Gorgeous. This is Tea on the Green. This is Naked Hippo. It's actually a really light gray. This is Hello Gorgeous. What is the purple? Violet Beauregard. Woo. Can't believe I pulled all those out of my tissue. But anyway, those are the colorways. I love Lolo Did It yarn. I am quite a collector of Lolo Did It. And anyway, this hoe that's going to be redone is my only finished object. I don't have the second sock to show you yet, because it's just to right here. So if you could imagine this right here with lots of yarn coming off the end, that's what it looks like. I didn't bring it in here. Hi, by the way. Welcome to any new viewers. I love new viewers because I'm still really new myself. And thanks so much for coming back if you've been here before. And please forgive my birds. They are ridiculous and super loud today, even though they were out. And they got tired and were ready to go back. I have 2 sun conures and then a cockatiel, and there are my babies. Works in progress. Take 2. These are the socks I have in progress right now. I like knitting socks 2 at a time. I really like cuff down since I learned how to do that from Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast. This is a custom colorway called C is for Cookies. It was dyed up by Lauren Slagle. The marvelous Lolo did it herself. Yep, C is for Cookie. There we go. It's supposed to look like a chocolate chip cookie. My husband loves cookies. He particularly loves chocolate chip cookies. Anyway, so there is a skein, mini skein that I purchased from her that I did not bring in here with me, but it is called Betty Davis Eyes, and with these socks I call it Cookie Monster Blue. So it'll have Cookie Monster Blue heels and toes, and these are just going to be plain vanilla socks is the plan, and I can't decide right now if this is long enough, but this is what I would normally knit for my sock. It's like 1.5 inches. Yeah, it's about 1.5 inches, so I don't know how many centimeters it is. I'm sorry. I grew up in America, so don't know my metric very well. Anyway, so I have the second cuff almost the same length as the first cuff, and then I will start knitting these 2 at a time. That's the only work in progress I have right now. I want to cast on about 1 million things, or that's the only work in progress I have right now that I've been working on, because I have something I need to rip back. It was a shawl I've already shared with you, the layer cake shawl. I got the second clue, and the second clue has row counts on it, and my row count is so far off I can't figure out how to fix it, although it looks correct. It's terrible. So let me share with you, I did a swap with the marvelous Lauren Slagle from Lolo Did It, and she sent, okay, here was the deal. I had purchased some Gail's Art sock blanks from Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I posted them on Instagram. I'm Scrapfaire on Instagram, Ravelry, and Twitter as well. So if you want to find me, it's just Scrapfaire. But anyway, so Lauren and I messaged back and forth about the fact that she'd been wanting to try a Gail's Art sock blank, and I said, well, you have a colorway, When Doves Cry, that I want, and I have an extra sock blank, so let's do a trade. And so this turned into a little swap between the two of us, and it was marvelous. So this is my Lolo Did It When Doves Cry on her sparkle base. It's called Sparkle Sock. This is fabulous, and I'm so in love with it. And I was so worried I was going to get her package before I got mine already, because I made some things and I had several things to put in it. And then she messaged me that she had been inspired to dye up a colorway to include in my package. And lo and behold, Raspberry Beret was inspired by our swap. And this is such a fabulous colorway. I love this so much. It's so bright and so happy. And Raspberry Beret, I had bought Raspberry Beret when my allowance was $2 a week, and you could buy 45s at my local Walmart for 97 cents each. And so just saying the name Raspberry Beret brings back such happy memories. She included this is how her mini skein can't talk. Yes, it's 20 grams, approximately 92 yards. So this is how her minis come when you pick 8. And she gave me a little Progress Keeper that looks like a cupcake, which was even more fabulous because this arrived on my birthday. Fantastic. I can't tell you what a surprise it was. And then she sent more mini skeins. These are 10 gram mini skeins. This is The Tide is High, which is a song that is extremely special to me. So that's a 10 gram mini skein of The Tide is High. This is what I call her Sully yarn, and I'm not the only person that said this, But this is Party Like It's 1999. I've actually, over the holiday season, knit a hat for a friend out of the DK weight of this. I love this. And this color, I really love this. And I think it would make the most beautiful sweater. It's Hello Little Birdie. And the colors in this are so delicate. And this is her awesome sock base, which I can't remember what awesome sock is. The everyday sock is 75.25. That's what this is. And this is sparkle sock, which is 75, 20, and 5. 75 merino, 20 nylon, and 5% stellina. And it's such a beautiful sparkly silver stellina. Love it! There were some other things in my little package, including a Lolo Did It tape measure and a Lolo bar, one of those little mini Lolo bars, and then a really cool Las Vegas Lucky Poker chip that lives on my Wonder Woman bag that's not in here right now. But my C is for Cookie socks are actually living in a bag, speaking of Lolo Did It, that I won in an auction last year. Lauren Slagle from Lolo Did It had put up this bag to be auctioned off on Instagram, and I won that auction. So this is a Lolo Did It project bag. I actually won another online contest from Lolo Did It last holiday season, and so I have another Lolo Did It project bag that I won, but I don't have a project in it right now. I'll share that with you when I do. And I mentioned it was my birthday recently, and my brother had been asking me, my older brother, had been asking me what I wanted for my birthday, and I got an email from No Makers just in time to forward to him and say, hey, I forwarded him the email, and I said I would take any of these yarns in a sock weight. So this is the Eggs, Bacon, and Toast Doppelganger set in their House Gnome, which is 75% merino, 25% nylon. Eggs, bacon, and toast. These are all, how much do they weigh? It doesn't say. It says they're 300 yards each. How fabulous is this? I think eggs is my favorite. I am so drawn to yellow right now, which is such a weird thing because it's not normally a color I'm super drawn to. Have no idea what I'm going to do with these. I don't know if I want them to be funky breakfast socks or if some of them need to work together to be a shawl. I just love them so much. I have one more stash enhancement to share with you. And this is the yarn that I got when we were in Chincoteague. This was dyed on the island. This is Chincoteague Colors Mudlark Collection. It's 80% superwash merino, and this is 20% silk. And this came from Carradine Farm Wool Shop. She has a website, so she gave me this as a little happy. Her shop was packed with yarn, and she dyes this. This is the stuff she hand dyes on the island. And then I wanted something to go with it because that was the only skein of that yellow, and I would have liked to have gotten a couple to make a big shawl or even a sweater. It's so soft. I mean, would you make a sweater with superwash and silk? Why not? But she helped me pick this out to go with it. I asked for a recommendation, and this is, oh gosh, y'all, it's Araucana Yarns. I'll put that, I'll spell that out better for you. But it's these colors, they're autumnal colors, and they're really beautiful. This is like a gray into a purple, into an orange, into a yellow, and there's some green. I love these. Like I said, she helped me pick this out so that I can make a beautiful two-color shawl or something to go together with this. And I don't even know what the base is on this. And I can just barely read anything on this tag, you guys. I'm old. I don't normally say I'm old. I usually say I'm super young. I don't know what it says. River located in the south of Chile. So this is Chilean yarn, and it is a single. So she said it shouldn't be a problem to knit these two together. So I'm gonna trust her. You know, she owns a yarn shop, so she should know more than me. So that I'm thinking this would be a beautiful constant companion shawl, which is another Dana Gervais design. It's a really beautiful garter shawl that has it's knit sideways, so you knit the border at the same time as you're knitting the shawl, and the border it's a lace border and it has little paw prints. So right now my works in progress are 2 pairs of socks. I am dream knitting about 1 million shawls. Okay, so shawls I want to knit. This is the Choice Bit of Calico Shawl by Mrs. Shu. She has a podcast that I listen to, Cultivate and Create. That's it. It's an audio podcast, and I love that podcast. I think she is awesome to listen to. She makes me very happy. Ooh, I have the 2 If by C Shawlette pattern. This would be really good for the yarn I just showed you, because it's all stripy. I'm trying to find a good picture of it. I should have enough. Oh, wait. Okay, just always show the first picture because it's the best one, right? Okay, the 2 If by C. And this is by, I don't know. Why can't I see a picture? I'm sorry. It's the 2 If by C Shawlette by Pam Gemelion. I'll put it in the show notes for sure. That's really pretty. That might look really nice with these 2 colors that I just showed you. The Because I Love You shawl, I don't own that pattern. I'm just looking the ones I own right now. There's a No-Brainer One Skeiner by Susan Ashcroft. That's really pretty. I just want to knit shawls and socks. And I want a sweater to magically appear. Can that happen? Do you know? I like that. That's a One Skein Wonder shawl. I'm strictly looking in the patterns that I own right now, but there's that Pure Joy by Joji Locatelli. I want to rip out my layer cake shawl that I was making for my mom and make that into a Pure Joy because I like that shawl. I love the eyelets. I'm in love with eyelets. I'm not knitting anything with eyelets, and I think I need to. Maybe I should throw some socks on the needles that have eyelets or something in them. I have a Cookie A pattern that I should be knitting because they're the Jedi Mind Trick socks, and I think they're super awesome. And now that I've done cables and done a little bit of lace, I feel like they would be a good challenge. But I need to finish these socks first because I want some finished socks. I want some more finished socks that I can, you know, put on my feet and take pictures of. Anyway, this is going to be kind of a shorter podcast this week because I have a lot to do. This is my Cleveland is Magical shirt. Just so you guys know, I love this shirt. I think it's super cool. I went to Cleveland in March this year. We took a 4-day weekend in Cleveland to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it was going to snow the next day, so I missed out on meeting a swap partner I'd had earlier this year and had to come back in a hurry because it was snowing, and it snowed really scary on us most of the way home. But I'm going to go do some housework, and then I'm going to rip out and start redoing the sock, or maybe I'll just work on the other sock and make all my adjustments based on what I don't like about this one and the fact that I can't get my foot in it. It's not the bind off or anything. It was after I turned the heel when I went to try it on, I was like, this is way too small now, which is crazy because my foot was swimming in it, you know, when it was down here. But again, that's not any fault of the pattern. That's just the fault of my gauge. And I don't do gauge swatches for socks. Because I don't. Maybe I should. Does anybody swatch for socks? All I keep hearing is nobody swatches for socks. Check out the Rav Group. It's starting to get chatty. Real excited about that. Sorry my birds are so on today. My husband will be home soon and they're probably excited because they know that. check out the Rav Group. Let's chat online some. I've really been mainlining a lot of podcasts this morning while I was knitting. I caught up with the Knit Girls and Sockcetera and Inside Number 23 with KT. I still got Sticks and Twine to finish. I'm in the middle of my Legacy Knits podcast, and there's a couple more in there for me to listen to, and I haven't listened to any audio podcasts this week. I just caught up. I did listen to those some while I was out of town, but thanks so much for spending your time with me, and be sure and stop by and let me know what you're working on. I had a giveaway that was in progress, but nobody signed up for it. It was a ball of lollipop yarn, so I'll save that probably for the Christmas in July knit along. So this is June. There's tons of other knit alongs going on right now. If anyone else would like to host the Christmas in July, and it's really a holiday in July because I plan to knit some Thanksgiving socks and possibly some Halloween socks. I don't remember if I have any leftover Halloween yarn from last year, but we'll see what we can do for that. And I definitely have some holiday yarn that I showed in a previous podcast. So happy knitting and have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for stopping by.